Hey everyone, it's Kelly here. I'm finally back with a new video. So I thought I would react to the hair subreddit. I've seen a lot of other content creators, let's say tattoo content creators reacting to the tattoo subreddit. So I really like that kind of format. I feel that people on the hair subreddit are looking for advice. They usually have questions. So I thought that I would use my experience of over 6 years to kind of help answer that. And this is not coming from a know-it-all kind of place. This is really just a discussion, and it's honestly a way for me to kind of test my knowledge and see how much I really know about hair and see how much I can really help. This is only coming from a place of trying to be helpful. I don't think that my opinion is like the be all end all. It's just my 2 cents. Okay, so having that out of the way, let's get started. How to fix these highlights. Just got highlights for the first time and asked for blended, subtle, neutral highlights. I think I got a bit of a botched job. What can I do to soften this? I've contacted the salon and just waiting to hear back. Okay, let's see these pictures. I mean, yeah, it's kind of skunky. It's not the best pictures either, but from what I can see, I think whoever did these highlights probably hasn't been trained in balayage or trained in highlights in a long time. I think maybe they're just doing it the old school way. And I'm not hating on it. There's a time and a place to do it, but there's too much space in between the highlights, right? Like these darker pockets of color, and then the contrast between the super light highlights and then the darker like base color in between is giving it that skunky look. Yeah, there's too much space left out in between the foils. So to fix it, there's many things you could do. If you were my client and you came in and you asked me for a fix, I would generally give you 2 options, one with bleach and one without. So the first option without bleach, let's say you're scared of damaging your hair further, you don't want to do bleach. This is definitely savable without bleach and just using color. The first thing I would do is try to tone the lighter strands to something less contrasting, because yes, you want highlights, but the stark contrast between how light and then next to the darker base color is giving it that stripy look in this current placement. So I would tone it to a more subtle tone. You could do like a mushroom brown, a blonde, like just anything that's not so bright would probably help a lot. And then you definitely need a root shadow. How much of a root shadow you want is entirely up to you. You could do root tap, root smudge, whatever you want to call it. But if you're going for more of that natural look, I would drag it down at least to like this area, cover that, blend that out, and then tone a little bit darker. That would go pretty far, I think, in salvaging what you currently have without bleach. So now, if you were open to bleaching further, I could use the way that the highlights are now, because I think you're very light anyways, and it kind of lets me know, like even this picture, it's not 100% even. Like I can see strands that are a bit more yellow, but that tells me your hair probably lifts really well. So what I would do is in these pockets that are really dark, I would add TV lights and tip outs and things like that. So like if you're not sure what that is when you take a section of hair and you backcomb it for diffusion and then you paint it like a balayage, right? But I would incubate it in foils. So I guess the technical term is not technically a balayage, but you're mimicking the look of a balayage in a foil, so it's technically foliage. Whatever, it's all semantics, it doesn't really matter. But the point is, I would add more lightness in here in the form of tip outs and teasy lights and stuff like that to break up this dark area in between all that lightness. Because I think the lightness is not inherently a bad thing, right? most people, they want to go brighter. I think it's just the placement that's making it look not the greatest. So if you were to add lightness, what that's going to do then, especially if you couple that with a root smudge, you're going to create a gradient of color going from the darkest area near the root, a transitional area in the middle, and then you're going to have the lighter pieces on the end. So by doing the tip outs, you're going from dark, medium, light. This transitional area in the middle, this is fine. Like the way that your hair is in this area is completely fine. The placement, it's tipping out the ends because that's going to help a lot. And it doesn't have to be an ombre look, but it's just going to help update this like traditional foil look to not be so skunky and probably be a lot closer to what it is that you want, especially if you're really looking for something low maintenance, because with that rouge shadow, it's going to grow out and you're probably going to be a lot happier with that grow out 6 months from now compared to what you currently have. So yeah, that's what I would recommend, and it really depends on whether you are comfortable bleaching your hair again or not. Okay, this one made me laugh. Is this a bad haircut? I think there's some pictures. Okay, there's the first one of the back. Second one, side view. Third one, other side. Okay. I say this with love, okay? And no disrespect at all. But this picture here, it doesn't do any justice for you, because where they decided to stop this line happens to also be at like the widest part of your head. So there's not a lot of differentiation between what's your head and where's your neck. It almost looks like a thumb. Yeah, and also like just looking from the pictures at the side too, there's too much hair left on top versus at the bottom. If you want a skin fade, that's completely fine, but there's too much disconnection going on, which is right there. So you see that overhang. I think you can see it better in this picture too. So right in this area, this overhang here, this disconnection, like an undercut, it makes it look amateur because it's not intentional. Like there's no rhyme or reason. And I mean, also looking at it here, there's no lineup, nothing about it looks like it was professionally done. So I'm not going to rip into it too much, because I mean, at least you're smiling. It seems like you have a pretty good sense of humor. So I'm not trying to like destroy anyone at all. But also looking at it from the back, I can see this is like barbering fundamentals, like barbering 101. And I'm not to say that like, oh, I could do way better, because barbering is not my specialty at all. But from a visual standpoint and just what my eyes see, I can see exactly where they stopped each guideline. And then especially when you turn to the side like that and you see this little bump here, there's no connection. And then this bigger bump here, there's no connection. So I think you don't want to cut the top any shorter. That's fine, because in the crown area here, if you cut it too short, that hair is going to stick straight out. But what would really, really help fix this haircut is if you were to connect this area. So all the way around, even I guess here from the back view, you can kind of see it on the sides too. So right in here, all this hair that's overhanging the sides that are too long is disconnected. It just needs to be cleaned up. It needs to be connected, because you can't really do much about this, but luckily give your hair a couple days and I think this is going to grow back and this is fine. There's nothing terrible about this fade. It's still savable. Like you can just go in and kind of blend those lines out. But I think the biggest thing that stands out to me the most is how disconnected the top and the bottom is. So if I was to go in with my barbering comb or like clipper comb or whatever, do like clippers over comb to kind of blend that area to connect the top and the bottom a little bit, it would help. Especially, yeah, like in this crown area, I think you just need to put the comb in and kind of put your clipper over it a little bit and connect it. Because the way that I like to imagine any kind of like barbering haircut is almost like trimming hedges. You're trying to create a shape of the head. I think sometimes what happens is people get very focused on the minute details, because it almost like, if this was done by an apprentice or like a junior stylist or something, they probably were very focused on creating this fade, and then they weren't looking at the big picture. Because like 100% I've done a lot of mistakes like that too, where I do too much in one area, but then by the end of it I'm like, oh, the end result isn't great. So you sometimes, and this is advice to any like baby stylist or like, you know, any stylist, when you're in your zone and you're focused on something, that's great. But every once in a while, take a step back and look at the person's head and look at it from different angles, you know, just like analyze the bigger picture, because that's going to help you a lot. But yeah, it's a bad haircut, yes, but it can be saved. And I think within a few, like a week tops, I think that is going to grow back a little bit. So that's going to help. But yeah, at least you seem to have a good sense of humor. But yeah, it'll be fine. It'll be okay. You'll be okay. Long gone are the stylists who brush correctly. What happened to stylists who use a wide tooth comb and comb from the bottom up after washing to detangle? Everyone I've been to who are very talented use any old brush and just beat the top of my head and yank it down. Screw the pain or how much hair gets pulled out. I mean, fair. I think that there's a lot of stylists that are very focused on just getting the job done. So they're not too focused on the client experience, which is unfortunate, because if people are going to charge a lot of money and they want hair to be treated as a luxury, because I'll be honest, with people's expectations today, it is a luxury, especially for like color and stuff like that. And if people are paying you to get their hair done, it's still a service. So yeah, the service experience is incredibly important. I use a wet brush. Love a wet brush. I'm sure people are freaking tired of hearing me talk about the wet brush, but I cannot do hair without the wet brush. But yes, you always want to start from the bottom and work your way up. If their hair is very thick, or if you've done like back combing, anything like that, spray a ton of detangler or like a leave-in conditioner or something. Hell, if their hair is like very stubborn, I would even, before you wash the conditioner out of the hair when they're still at the shampoo bowl, detangle it there first before you wash out the conditioner, because the conditioner can only help you. But yeah, no, use a wet brush, start from the bottom, section off the hair if you need to, and then work your way up that way. I would never, because I'm so traumatized from being a kid and having my mom yank on my hair. So I know exactly how that feels. And yeah, just be very mindful of the way that you're making your clients feel in the chair. But yeah, no, I agree. Okay, guys, thank you so much for watching. Yes, this hair was all done by me. I appreciate your support, and I will be back. Bye.